appreciate what you're doing.
Welcome to today's conversation on real estate financing in Nigeria. On this episode, we will explore the current landscape of real estate financing, diving into the challenges, opportunities, and innovations shaping the industry, from the role of government policies and financial institutions to emerging investment vehicles like real estate investments trust. We will uncover how financing is evolving to meet the needs of developers, investors, and home buyers alike. Whether you're an industry professional or a potential investor, this discussion is sure to provide valuable insights into the future of real estate in Nigeria. I'm Joyce Onso. Please stay with us.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts. On Facebook, Housing TV Africa. On Twitter, Housing TV Africa. Instagram, Housing TV Africa.
Welcome again. Access to affordable financing is a major hurdle for both developers and buyers. High interest rates and stringent lending criteria limit the availability of mortgages and construction loans. This financing gap restricts the growth of the real estate sector and makes home ownership unattainable for many Nigerians. There is a need to develop a strategic approach to address this problem. This edition of Dateline evaluates the challenges and opportunities for real estate financing in Nigeria from an expert in the finance sector. Our discussion will cover the economic factors, legal framework, policy environment, and private sector developers. We trust to give you a holistic view of the current situation. Join us again. If you've just joined us, this is Dateline. We're looking at real estate financing in Nigeria, challenges and opportunities. Joining me now to proffer insight is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. He's currently working with the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company PLC, Mr. Eugene Asabazele. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on Dateline.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, sir. So let's quickly get into an overview of the current state of the real estate industry in Nigeria and its financing.
Real estate in Nigeria is currently undergoing a tremendous growth and transformation. And this is triggered by the rapid urbanization, increase in population, because Nigeria at the moment in the world is one of the it has one of the highest birth rates in the world. Then urban rural migration. So all these have made the real estate business to be very lucrative in Nigeria.
Okay, so now let's move to its financing.
And this has also created a lot of jobs, because we have to look at it in that direction. That created a lot of jobs for Nigerians. Both the artisans, when you look at the artisan, young graduates, those are into marketing, and so on and so forth. So I can say today that real estate business is one of the highest employer of labor.
I think there was a report around that at the close of last year, 2024, you know, that there was so much contribution to Nigeria's GDP from that sector. Now let's move to the current state of real estate financing. What
Well,
would you have to say about that?
real estate financing in Nigeria is also undergoing transformation. But there are a lot of bottlenecks that have really hampered financing, such as high interest rate. And what has triggered this high interest rate is the economic volatility of our economy and inflation. And when there's inflation like this, the cost of running businesses have, rise. And when there's a rise in cost of businesses, it equally affects the rate at which banks and financial institutions lend to borrowers, including those in real estate business. So you also look at it from government policies, unstable government policies. Like, for instance, in Nigeria, the 1978 Land Use Act give governors the power to issue C of O. In fact, the governors could be said to be the owners, that state governments own land in Nigeria. So the bottleneck encountered in this land tightening has also created a lot of issues in real estate financing in Nigeria. But that notwithstanding, the mortgage banks have actually tried in that direction in financing real estate. But there are other means of financing real estate businesses, such as crowd financing, such as cooperative financing, such as when you talk of Islamic bank financing, and so on and so forth. And also through PPP, that public-private partnership. So many financing opportunities for the real estate businesses. And also, even they can take advantage of the ADP, that's African Development Bank facilities, and so on and so forth. So many avenues for them to raise money. Also, venture capital have also played a major role in the financing of real business or real estate business.
All right, sir. So having said all of that, outlining, the various channels through which we can access loans and mortgages, I'd like to ask, what are the key challenges developers and home buyers face when it comes to financing, securing financing for real estate projects in Nigeria?
Well, what Asabazele said, one of the main challenge, one is high interest rate. Because of the high interest rate, most of them cannot afford the cost associated with the loans offered by the financial institutions and banks. And two, you talk of tightening issue. Sometimes it takes a very difficult and a lot of bottleneck to obtain the necessary documents, such as the C of O, as I've earlier said. So when there are no such proper documentation or documents to back up the loan, so most banks are not likely to give us such loan to home buyers. Then you also look at infrastructure debt. When you talk about infrastructure debt, you are looking at electricity. You are looking at road infrastructure. For instance, I bought a land from one estate over 15 years ago. But as I'm telling you today, because of lack of infrastructure, no road network that will lead to that estate, no electricity, that estate could not be developed. So when, for instance, banks go for inspection, they look at all these things. How will I recover my money if there are no infrastructure? If this place will not be readily available, readily available for rent or for sale by the buyer or the developer. So these are some of the hindrances.
So that means that will take us to how do government policies and regulations impact real estate financing?
Yes, government policies and regulation have a long way in impacting on the real estate growth of business and financing. For instance, government in its own way, in order to make housing available, established the mortgage bank and the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and also the National Housing Fund. The essence of that was to pull funds from workers through the National Housing Fund to be managed by the Federal Mortgage Bank to be able to access homes or to access properties of or whatever property, whether homes or so on and so forth. But unfortunately, because of the implementation gap, that policy have not really worked out well the way it should be.
One of that should be the FISH program, right?
Yes, of course. So, and again, you look at interest rate. Who set the interest rate? Is government through CBN. The monetary policy rate for this NPR, as of today, is over 34%. And that is the benchmark for interest rate, fixing of interest rate by banks. As I'm telling you today, interest rate in Nigeria ranging from 15% to over 30%, and including other hidden charges. Do you understand? And all these two are fueled by the economic volatility, inflation, and forest frustrations. So if government can do something, if the government can do something to mitigate this cost, for instance, making sure that the naira is stable, stabilizing the naira to the other currencies, it will reduce interest rate. And if interest rate is reduced, then a lot of people, the citizens, will be able to afford access the loans and also purchase their homes.
Okay, so now what role does the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, play in regulating real estate financing, and has this been effective? Thank you.
The role they play, as I've said earlier, for instance, is setting the benchmark for rates. They set the benchmark, and that determines the rate at which banks can lend. Okay. The rate at which they lend to buyers, to home buyers. And also, when you talk of cash, for instance, lending, cash available for lending is 65% ratio. So, which means the funds available for banks to lend, 65% of the funds should be it should be given to real estate. So, if, for instance, such funds get to the real estate, it will boost. There will be a lot of liquidity within the system, and a lot will be lent that will go to the buyers, whether developers, whether individual buyers, and so on and so forth. Okay. So you look at the regulation too. For instance, they play regulation in such a way that they visit these whether lending institutions to make sure that that portion of fund that is meant for real estate goes to them. So if they are really stringent and make sure these rules are followed, there will be a lot of funds available for real estate development. Okay.
Now let's move on to what role do you think Nigerian banks play in real estate financing, and how do their lending rates compare to those in other parts of the world?
Now, when you look at the lending rate compared to other parts of the world, look at USA, for instance. The interest rate is 1% to 3%.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think in UK too it's about 3% to 6%. Then in China it's about 3% to 6%.
Well, some people say those are developed countries.
So if, for instance, you now compare to Nigeria, which is about 15% to 30%. Do you understand? So if, and when we say they are developed countries, of course, but that is not enough. I think if the inefficiencies in our system are removed, the corruption in our system is removed, we could as well reduce our interest rate.
So now let's talk about other alternative financing options available for real estate developers outside traditional banks.
There are so many, as I've said earlier, there are so many options that are available. You can talk about crowd financing, which give opportunity for individuals, for the investor to pull funds from various persons and investors. Then you talk of venture capital, where investors invest a lot of money in real estate to obtain a larger share, do you understand, in the business of real estate. Then you talk of Islamic banking, the Islamic banking system, where loans are given to real estate or home buyers without interest. Do you understand? But the only thing that is just a little markup. What that means is that at the end of the day, if you not be like when there's a default in payment, the interest is capitalized. That increase the the principal. No, the cost remains. Why? Just because there's no interest on it. Then you only pay, and as time goes on, you pay as per the terms of the agreement.
Okay.
So you have through personal savings also. Then through cooperatives. Like I can say, the first house I own in Lagos was through our cooperative in the office, and through the federal government to help in most cases to support some of these cooperatives. Then do PPP, as I said, public-private partnerships, where maybe government at all levels, maybe whether federal, state, or local government, local government level, provide maybe partner with a private real estate owners by injection of funds or land, making land available to them. So this is one of the major areas through real estate can be financed.
Okay, thank you so much for your thoughts so far. At this point, we'll take a break. If you've just joined us, we're looking at real estate financing in Nigeria, challenges and opportunities, and providing expert's opinion is Mr. Eugene Asabazele. So we'll take a break now. Please stay with us.
Get credible and authentic housing news at your fingertips by downloading the Housing TV mobile app. You can also join the African International Housing Show live from across the globe through the Housing TV mobile app. The mobile app features live streaming and trending housing news. You can locate the AIHS venue via the app, network with AIHS seasoned speakers, and live chat with exhibitors. You can also order house or building materials at AIHS via this app. Download the Housing TV mobile app now from the App Store and Google Play Store. And don't forget to click on the notification button. Available for both iOS and Android users. Housing TV is also on Star Times, channel 149 decoder.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Dateline. We're still talking real estate financing in Nigeria, challenges and opportunities. Moving on, yes, I know you've said a couple of things about public-private partnerships. I'd like to ask, how do you see the role of PPPs in financing affordable housing projects?
Yeah, PPP, otherwise known as a public-private partnership, is a situation where government at various levels, whether federal, state, or local government, partner with private investors to provide affordable housing for the citizens. Now, there are so many ways the government can involve in this with the private sector. For instance, government can come in by providing land to the investor, and also they can come in by providing the necessary fund, investing the necessary fund that is needed in collaboration, to collaborate with the private sector to provide affordable housing. And also government can also help in a way, in addition to that, by serving as providing guarantee to enable real estate business owners or investors obtain loan from financial institutions and banks. And this has contributed to the housing deficit in Nigeria.
All right, so how has the digitalization of financial services in Nigeria influenced real estate financing, particularly through online mortgage platforms?
It has really helped in such a way that, for instance, you know how it is for you to fill the form, the experience of form you fill, you take to the bank for scrutiny and so on. You just stay in your home, in the comfort of your home, fill a form, the mortgage form, submit online, it is scrutinized online, and before you know, approval is given. So it helped to reduce a time cost in terms of obtaining a loan facility from the banks. And also digitalization. For instance, I'm looking at a situation where even the banks can just stay in the purview of their office, scrutinize all these documents in a situation where the NAGIS, for instance, ages, information as regard to landowners will be available to the banks from the purview of the office. They can cross-check and approve. So it also make access to loan. For instance, when you are scrutinizing the bank, in the credit worthiness of the developers. So it makes it easier for the banks.
Okay, sir. So I'd like to ask, what advice would you give to potential real estate investors in Nigeria when navigating financing options?
Well, first of all, you have to do a research to know what you want, what is obtainable in the industry. Find out what are the legal requirements in this industry. What are the financing options available? And what are the costs of obtaining such facility? For instance, as I said earlier, there are so many financing options, like the Islamic financing option, that will not charge any interest. Then you can say, okay, let me look for a venture capitalist who is ready to part with his money and own a share in your investment. So you look at so many of these options. Okay, what do I have? Do I have my personal savings? okay, if I obtain this kind of loan, will it be enough for me to complete this project? So you look at also the economic indicators. With the rising costs, with the rising inflation, galloping inflation, if I obtain this facility, will I be able to complete this project within so and so? Then I will also invite him to work closely with experts, legal experts, financial experts, real estate experts, those who have been in the business, to guide him. Because if you look at the situation in Nigeria today, when you are delving into a new area, you need to be well guided. You need to be well informed about that industry in order to survive. Thank you.
Finally, where do you see the future of real estate financing in Nigeria in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, looking at the real estate financing in Nigeria, we look at it from, honestly, let me first of all say the real estate business in Nigeria is very viable. There are still a lot of gaps, a lot of deficit in the housing industry compared to the ratio of houses to the citizens. And also, the banks also or the lending institutions can collaborate and enter into partnership with investors. For instance, they are providing the necessary fund and they own a share. In such a way, they are sharing the risk. They should also provide, in order to mitigate risk, insurance. So, in such a, and also the financial institution too can partner with government institutions like the Federal Mortgage Banks, like the Central Bank of Nigeria, in order to be able to muster enough fund to lend to real estate investors. Also, they could also partner with foreign investors. There's a way the banks can partner with foreign investors to provide more funds. Even with our Nigerians in diaspora. Today, if you look at diaspora remittance into Nigeria, you find out that it runs into billions of dollars. So when they partner with them, partner with foreign investors, partner with even the investors themselves, you find out that there will be a lot of funds within the estate sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your deep insight and analysis. Thank you. It was really nice having you on the program. Thank you for coming.
God bless you.
Our guest there, Eugene Asabazele, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, is currently working with the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company PLC. And that concludes our conversation on real estate financing in Nigeria. We have covered some key issues and explored potential solutions that can help unlock new opportunities for the sector. As the real estate landscape continues to evolve, it's clear that both policy reforms and innovation will play critical roles in shaping the future. Many thanks for joining us today. We look forward to bringing you more insightful discussions. Thanks for watching. I'm Joyce Onso. Bye for now.
Improvement in power generation and supply. Practical discussion of how to implement. How to in partnership with
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.